going to promote new root growth.
It's going to promote new root growth.
Well, good morning everyone. Zach here, Blades LLC. It is September 7th, Thursday, and it is 7:04. We are in our red Chevy heading over to pick up an aerator from Crawford Equipment. What we try to do here is try to line up aerations for the fall. I believe that doing them in the fall up here in the upper Midwest, or in Minnesota, is the best time of year to do them. And I typically like to do them towards the beginning of September. That way, if you're doing overseeding, it gives your seed a chance to grow. Actually, September is a great month for growing typically, especially if it's a warmer month. Grass tends to do typically pretty good. We're pulling up to Crawford's here now, so we gotta get in here and we're gonna pick up our rental machine and get back on the road. Look at all the Bobcat equipment here. Crawford's does Bobcat, X-Mark, and they do something else too. I can't remember. Alright, so I just wanted to talk real briefly here about the grass seed that we're using today. This is a premium sun and shade grass seed that I picked up from Spikes in Elk River. Gerton sells it as well. It's a little bit more expensive of a grass seed, but it works kind of in all sorts of conditions and weather and stuff. Especially on this new sod, it tends to grow a little bit better because sod is actually raised in sunny areas, so it's typically more of a sunny mixture over a sun and shade. So it's good to use a sun and shade, especially with a bunch of oak cover here. So all grass seed isn't apples to apples. A lot of guys, bigger companies, use cheaper grass seeds, and we tend to use a little bit more pricey of grass seed. So it's a little bit more expensive to go with us, but it's the better option because you get the better results. All right, so quickly guys, here I'm going to show you kind of what we're doing, what we're looking for. It's about a 3.5 inch plug here. It depends on the yard though. Typically we get a little bit of tear if we go deeper than that. I mean, these machines tend to tear as is. You got to be really careful when you're turning and stuff, but that's ideally what we're looking for. So when I get to the yard, I set it, make sure everything's going to work out good. I make, you know, a nice long strip through the yard and just make sure my depth is set right and we're not going to be ripping up big chunks of grass. Oftentimes like newer sod or sod that hasn't attached yet will really kind of bring itself about when you run one of these things on it. So just a couple tips for you if you're out doing this, and we're going to get to work here. Jayden's going to film while I run this yard over. To run one of these machines, what you want to do is this sets your plugs into the ground, the foot pedal here. This is a rocker switch to keep your foot, or a rocker bar, I guess. I actually used to make these at the fabrication shop that I worked in, as well as this handle right here. Both of these handles, all of these actually, so that was kind of cool. But the rocker foot pedal, it helps you to know where your switch is at for your pressure in the ground. So set your pressure right here. both times and your pressure. You got pressure and your time depth. So you got to kind of play around with it to figure out what works. Now that we've found ours, we're going to get to work. beautiful yard plugged up here, looking nice. Kind of a shame. I always hate the kind of initial look of an aeration, but you know what? The results show later, believe me. See what Jayden's up to over here. I have him running this on the other side. Getting some real beautiful looking plugs here. This is exactly what we're looking for. 3 inchers probably about. It's exactly what we want. Something super important that I want to mention is that it's very important to have your customers mark their sprinkler heads, mark pipes, any of that type of stuff, just so the aerator doesn't break it. The spoons on those are extremely sharp and they will bust sprinkler heads. So either have your customers make a nice circle around their sprinkler head or have them put marking flags. Either way works. Plastic forks work. Anything to mark the head. So that's important because you don't want to be responsible. If they want to take the risk, I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to damage something because, I mean, obviously the way the spoons are placed, you could get away with it maybe. We have a time or two, but it's not something I would recommend. So how do you price something like this? Well, that aerator costs me a couple $100 per day to rent. So it's important to make sure that your pricing is all there. Make sure you're covering all your fuel costs, your labor costs, your rental costs throughout the day. Figure out how many you can get done in a day. And also it's important to kind of figure out where things are at in your local market. So we have a couple guys around here that kind of run the prices down. Unfortunately, I think they could be doing a lot better than what they are. They're charging like $100 for up to a half an acre, which I think is absolutely stupid. We get a little over that, $1.50 typically for up to like a third of an acre. And then once you get to half an acre or better, then you're looking at a couple $100. So somewhere right in there is kind of our market up here in Minnesota, central Minnesota. Down in the cities, maybe I could do better. I don't know, maybe it's worse. We're kind of about an hour north of Minneapolis, St. Paul, so. Oh, yeah. Getting the hang of that machine there. So typically when I'm on the aerator or whatever, I can have Jayden stay busy, staying behind me in case there's turf that rips up. I like to put the chunks back if I can, just so there's nothing obvious sticking up. But you don't want to do any turning with this machine because you will tear. So you want to let off the foot pedal and make your turn and then plunge after you're turned in. Like going around stuff like that, it's important. It will tear, it'll rip up the turf, so you got to make sure that he's trying to keep it straight or as straight as he can, and he backed into the flagpole. So I don't let him run a whole lot of equipment right now unless it's pretty wide open. I mean, sometimes you got to make the mistakes, but some people just are hard on things and aren't as cautious as they maybe should be. I was trying to talk about seed a little bit earlier, but I'm going to talk about it again really quick. This is a sun and shade mixture, which cost me a good buck, a premium sun and shade. There's a lot cheaper seeds out there. I believe I paid My cost on these bags is around $190 per bag, so they're 50 pounders. So it's important to get all your pricing right. Ideally, you'd like to be able to triple the price of a bag. I think we get around 2.5 times the price of a bag if I put down a full bag. So we're doing between 30. Oh, my camera light is not very good here. One sec. So on the grass seed, we're doing around between 30 and 50 pounds, depending upon what the customer wants, per quarter to third acre lawns. And then once you get up to that half acre plus, we're putting down a couple bags, unless it's, you know, crazy amount of yard, like 3/4 of an acre plus, then, you know, you gotta bump it up more. But we're trying to put down a good amount of grass seed for these guys to get kind of the best result. I'm gonna go back out here quick, check on Jayden. But what a wonderful looking yard here. This thing is gonna be a lot healthier. We aerate to promote new root growth. Kind of gives it some ventilation. Down here too, you can see, like, it's gonna promote new root growth. It's gonna be awesome. The yard's gonna turn, it's hard to tell from like here, but it's a lighter grass, and this will deepen up quite a bit, especially in the spring next year, once this has kind of had a chance to work its magic. So it is early September right now, and I am probably about 3 weeks away here, depending upon the weather. We're about 3 weeks away from throwing down our winter guard, and that is gonna also help this lawn out for the spring. This yard, I'll have to see if I can remember to show you guys, but it'll look even better than this in the spring.
There is no